Fever made some unsurprising roster cuts.
This is the first cut.
Plenty of players have been waived.
It's all going down right now. Indiana Fever just made a shocking roster move that no one saw coming.
How tough it was going to be to make the roster. How a group of players were fighting for essentially one spot.
Some major players just got dropped from the roster.
The Indiana Fever having to make some cuts. Players that many expected to be possibly gone.
And let's be clear, Caitlyn Clark is the driving force behind these major changes.
The Indiana Fever made with Caitlyn Clark's presence on the court is undeniable.
The franchise is going full speed ahead to build around their once-in-a-generation superstar, and that means no one's job is safe. Players who seemed locked in are suddenly out. The message? If your style doesn't match the fast, high-energy system built around Caitlyn Clark, you're out of the picture.
Caitlyn Clark is just so fun to watch. The difference that she brings to the game. This is an entertainer. She knows how to rev up the crowd. She puts on a show. And like Rebecca Lobo said, the Indiana Fever are just fun to watch.
This isn't just a roster shakeup, it's the start of a whole new era in Indiana. And the Fever are making serious noise across the WNBA to make it happen.
It's a rough life in the WNBA where you get drafted, you have that moment, and then it's gone.
If you're rocking with Caitlyn Clark and want to show your support, drop a 100% in the comments.
CC, one word to describe today.
Only one word. Unreal.
Let's get into the major shakeup that just rocked the Indiana Fever. This isn't your typical mid-season roster tweak. This is a bold statement. The Fever are making it clear they're ready to rebuild from the ground up. And at the center of it all is one name, Caitlyn Clark.
But the timing of the cuts is interesting in the senses where they dropped these two players after the first two exhibition games.
Caitlyn Clark's impact is so huge that the franchise is now going all in to build a team that fits her style, plays to her strengths, and sets up long-term success. As part of this big shift, the front office made some tough decisions, cutting key players that many fans thought were untouchable.
A championship is the clear stated goal.
That includes Aaliyah Moore, a player whose athleticism and versatility had real potential.
I would say, just pushing the pace and just keep going, not settling for who we were playing with. We're just getting ready to play, those bigger opponents and to win a championship. So we just had our mind focused on what we wanted to do and just keep the pace and not worry about the score.
But for Aaliyah Moore, her role became redundant as the Fever focused on boosting floor spacing and speed. Alongside her, Tammy Fagbell was also let go. Even though Bentley brought solid international experience and post presence, she didn't fit into the high-speed system Indiana is building around Caitlyn Clark's playmaking, and the cuts didn't stop there. Maya Caldwell and Christy Wallace, both of whom provided solid depth on the wing and had key moments last season, were also released as part of this major shakeup.
Camp, it was assumed 5 players were competing for one spot.
These weren't easy calls. These are players who fought hard, gave their all, and represented the franchise with professionalism. But the Fever's leadership knows one thing for sure: mediocrity is no longer an option. They're building a team with one goal: to fully unlock Caitlyn Clark's potential.
Caitlyn Clark is just different from everyone else.
It's crazy how one player can implement a change so massive, and that is Caitlyn Clark.
Whenever Caitlyn Clark takes the floor, that maybe is different not only from any player in the WNBA, but from any player in basketball. The Indiana Fever are where they are because of Caitlyn Clark. The WNBA is where it is because of Caitlyn Clark. The Iowa situation is what it is because of Caitlyn Clark.
That means building a team around her with shooters, defenders, and high IQ players who can elevate her court vision and fast break game. Every move they make is calculated. Every decision is about fine-tuning the roster so Caitlyn Clark can perform at her highest level. And make no mistake, these moves send a clear message to the entire WNBA.
Everybody get an opportunity, and the cold reality of the WNBA is there just aren't that many teams and there aren't that many roster spots, which doesn't lead to said opportunity for too many.
Indiana is no longer a team in rebuild mode, waiting for the future to unfold. The future is now, and her name is Caitlyn Clark. The Fever are clearing the way for her to take charge. No hesitation. Every player left on the roster will be one who matches her pace, her style, and her basketball IQ.
They're going to do what they think gives them the best chance to win and gives them the best roster going into the regular season, and everyone who's on the bench has to be able to be relied upon for minutes if needed.
When we talk about why these cuts happen, let's be clear. Caitlyn Clark has completely changed the game for the Indiana Fever. Now every decision is made with one goal in mind, unlocking her full potential. From the moment she hit the court, it was obvious. Caitlyn Clark isn't just a talented rookie. She's a generational player who sets the pace, draws defensive focus, and opens up the floor like only a few can. The front office quickly realized that to fully capitalize on her skills, they'd have to build the roster around her style, not the other way around. Clark's game thrives on speed, spacing, and precise passing. She excels when she's surrounded by players who can keep up with her fast tempo, stretch the defense, and create clear lanes or open shots. And this is where players like Jillian Aileen and Bree Hall no longer fit the bill.
Indiana Fever made their first roster cuts of training camp Monday. Rookie Bree Hall, Jillian Aileen were waived by the team as it narrows down its opening day roster. Jillian Aileen, she's out.
Both had their strengths, but neither showed the versatility or chemistry required to truly thrive alongside Caitlyn Clark. While Bree Hall's defensive skills were recognized,
Bree Hall would have had to really stand out in order to make the team. I just thought she had a chance if she could show she was a great defensive player just because they didn't have that specific player.
But in the Fever's new system, defense alone wasn't enough. Bree Hall had to prove she could seamlessly fit into an offense designed to run through Caitlyn Clark, and she struggled to meet those expectations. On the other hand, Michaela Timpson is the perfect example of the type of player the Fever are now looking for.
It's Michaela Timpson. My goodness, she looks like she has something, folks. She does. And I'm excited that she's part of the team.
Michaela Timpson didn't just impress with solid stats during camp and exhibitions. She proved she could complement Caitlyn Clark's game. Her knack for cutting at the right moments, hitting open shots, and rotating quickly on defense made her a key asset. She fit perfectly into the system Indiana is building, a system where quick decisions, off-ball movement, and high basketball IQ all work to amplify Clark's playmaking brilliance. The Fever saw that chemistry in action during scrimmages, and they made the call. They want more players like Timpson, those who elevate Caitlyn Clark, not slow the game down. Timpson, selected 19th overall, is the type of player the Fever need. This isn't just about individual stats, it's about constructing the perfect team. The Fever recognize the rare opportunity they have with Clark. Her ability to draw double teams, make pinpoint passes, and score from anywhere means they can design an offense that overwhelms any opponent. But to make that vision a reality, they need shooters who can stretch the floor, bigs who can run the floor, and defenders who can switch quickly. Every player on the roster is now being evaluated with this in mind. The front office isn't holding back. They're cutting anyone who doesn't fit the blueprint because wasting a year of Clark's rookie contract simply isn't an option. Make no mistake, Caitlyn Clark is the engine driving this entire rebuild.
Caitlyn Clark breaking the record at $440 per average ticket to get into this game. That record was rebroken and increased to $670 per ticket. Couldn't help myself. Haters, read it and weep.
Caitlyn Clark's skill set is pushing the Indiana Fever to think bigger, move faster, and make bold moves. The cuts of Aileen and Hall are just the start. The Fever are all in on building a championship contending team around their superstar. That means assembling a roster that matches the speed, versatility, and relentless offensive pressure Clark brings to every possession. These roster changes aren't just business decisions. They're a clear signal that Indiana is committed to reshaping the franchise around Caitlyn Clark. Now, with these bold roster moves, the Fever have made it crystal clear. They're fully invested in building around their star.
The team looked great. Caitlyn Clark looked like she's ready to go.
When Caitlyn Clark arrives, she's going to be responsible for moving the ball more. She's going to be responsible for setting picks, dropping the ball off, making decisions. It's not just going to be dumping the ball down and you make a decision and we'll live with whatever you do. So
Honestly, like, I was really excited to just get out there and play, and especially getting to do it for the first time this season in front of these fans was really cool for myself. And like, just seeing the amount of people and young girls and young boys that stand there and like scream for me to sign their stuff, like, I don't take that for granted. Like, that's so cool. Like, I would be lying to you if I thought that was like just like normal and everybody gets to do that. Like, they don't. So I'm glad I can be a role model for them and you know, they have a great impact on me too.
So what's next for the Fever? It's clear that their front office isn't making just a few small adjustments. They're orchestrating a full-blown transformation of the team's identity. This franchise has been waiting for a breakthrough star to build around. And now that Caitlyn Clark is here, they're not letting this chance slip by. Every decision from here on out is calculated with a long-term goal, turning Indiana into a WNBA powerhouse. The changes we're seeing now, this is just the beginning.
The ball movement was great to see. Who didn't want to see that the ball snapping around and the unselfish play? I think it bodes very, very well for the ceiling of this team.
She broke her own damn record, hitting 36-foot-long three-pointers. She looked it sensational. This team looked it great. And I'm telling you right now, they just put the entire WNBA on notice.
She put on a show. The deep logo three, that further than the logo really, that no one else is doing. The delicious dimes whenever Caitlyn Clark takes the floor, that maybe is different not only from any player in the WNBA, but from any player in basketball.
First, expect more roster cuts to come. Right now, Egypt and Jaylen Brown are still on the chopping block. Both players have shown flashes of potential, but just like Aylin and Hall, they're under heavy scrutiny. The Fever's coaching staff is closely assessing how each remaining player fits into real game scenarios with Clark. It's no longer just about raw talent. It's about chemistry, basketball IQ, and adaptability. If Egypt or Brown can't prove they can consistently make smart cuts, rotate quickly on defense, or knock down open shots created by Clark's gravity, their time in Indiana will likely be over. The Fever are making tough decisions without hesitation. And on top of that, they're also focusing on salary cap management and long-term flexibility.
Salary cap is structured. The Fever are most likely making 2 more cuts. Most likely, which I would say that the players that are in the most danger are Ejim, who was the other draft pick, and the latest draft pick, and also Jaylen Brown.
With Clark as their superstar, the front office understands the importance of keeping cap space open for smart moves in the future. Whether that means signing veteran players, making trades, or locking down rising talent, these cuts have a deeper purpose. They're clearing space not just for players who fit now, but also to maintain financial flexibility as Clark's influence grows and the team evolves. They don't want to be tied down by big contracts or a crowded roster. Along with that, we're likely to see Indiana targeting specialists in free agency or future drafts. Role players who can enhance Clark's strengths. Expect the Fever to focus on adding elite three-point shooters, versatile wings who can defend multiple positions, and bigs who can either stretch the floor or finish on the fast.
So this is what an actual crowd looks like. Chloe Peterson put this up. That is a sold-out arena. 14,998 people. That's all it could hold. They all showed up in Caitlyn Clark's college arena. Absolutely full capacity, folks. Full capacity on this thing.
The Fever aren't just building any roster, they're shaping a WNBA powerhouse designed to compete for championships. And that starts with giving Caitlyn Clark the support she needs to dominate at her highest level. Expect trade rumors or late signings to surface soon as Indiana actively searches the market for the perfect supporting cast. But it's not just about the roster moves, there's also a cultural shift happening within the team. Clark doesn't just bring skill, she brings a winner's mentality, fierce competition, and a media presence that's changing the way the Fever are seen by both fans and opponents.
I didn't plan to shoot that logo 3. I know coming into the game, everybody wanted me to shoot one from there. But Steph was like, was supposed to come out at the end of the third, so she's like, give a foul, give a foul, give a foul. And then it was 30 seconds on the clock, which like between 30 to 33, that's like your 2-for-1 range where you have to get one up. So I saw 30 as we're inbounding the ball, which probably is inbounding the ball at 30, probably a little low. But I was like, why not?
The Fever understand that having Caitlyn Clark on their roster doesn't just give them a superstar, it brings national attention, boosts ticket sales, and raises expectations. Every decision from this point forward is about leveraging that momentum to position the franchise for success. They're building a team that doesn't just aim for wins, but strives to become a WNBA powerhouse, packing arenas and grabbing headlines thanks to Clark's impact. In other words, these early roster cuts are just the beginning of a strategic plan. Indiana is clearing out the remnants of past seasons, creating space to build a fresh contender from the ground up. Caitlyn Clark is the blueprint, and the Fever are carefully crafting a roster that can turn her talent into deep playoff runs and, ultimately, championship dreams. This isn't a slow rebuild, it's an accelerated transformation with Clark at the center. So fans, get ready for the...
This is your first time experiencing the Caitlyn madness. What do you make of this entire day that you were able to experience?
It's amazing, just to see that how many people just love her in this city. She made her mark here, and it's just incredible to see all the fans and how much she's just put into working, and then the impact she's had on this city is just amazing.
What we're seeing right now is just the beginning of something much larger. The Fever are sending a clear message to the entire league. They're not here just to play, they're here to dominate. And with Caitlyn Clark at the center of it all, every move they make is focused on building a dynasty that could shape the next decade of women's basketball. There's no doubt about it, the Indiana Fever are making bold moves because they recognize what they have in Caitlyn Clark, a once-in-a-generation talent who has the power to transform not just a franchise, but the entire league.
Caitlyn Clark play. And then we got one of the highlights of her career, really. We know she broke the record at Iowa. And then I'm going to pull up from all the way here. The ball's way in the air, and it goes down.
There's Caitlyn again, signing autographs.
This is Caitlyn Clark doing what Caitlyn Clark does. Signing autographs.
These roster moves, the strategic shifts, and the intense focus on building around Caitlyn Clark's incredible talent all send one powerful message. The Fever are no longer playing it safe, they're building for dominance, and Caitlyn Clark is the driving force behind it. As this journey unfolds, expect more changes, more surprises, and bigger headlines. This is just the beginning of an era that could change women's basketball for years to come. And if you're as pumped as we are to watch Caitlyn Clark take over the league and lead Indiana to new heights, now's your chance to show your support. If you're a true Caitlyn Clark fan, drop a 100% in the comments right now. Let's fill the section and show the world how strong the Caitlyn Clark fan base really is.